Welcome back to the channel USA Coins 69, where we uncover the hidden gems in your pocket change and reveal the incredible stories behind some of the most fascinating coins in American history. Today's video is dedicated to a coin that might look ordinary at first glance, but has the potential to be a serious treasure, the United States of America 1-cent Lincoln wheat penny from 1957, with a mint mark. Yes, we're talking about the iconic Lincoln wheat penny, a coin steeped in history, designed with powerful symbolism, and beloved by generations of collectors. But what makes the 1957 version with a mint mark so interesting? Why is it in such high demand today? And what factors could make this small copper coin worth thousands of dollars? Stay with us, because we're going deep into the story of the 1957 Lincoln wheat penny. And trust me, by the end of this video, you'll never look at your pennies the same way again. Let's start by setting the stage. The Lincoln wheat penny was first minted in 1909 to celebrate the 100th birthday of President Abraham Lincoln. It was the first U.S. coin to feature a real historical figure instead of a symbolic representation like Lady Liberty. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the obverse of the coin features a side profile of Lincoln with the words, "In God We Trust," above, "Liberty," on the left, and the mint year on the right. But flip it over, and you'll see what gives the coin its nickname: the two stylized wheat stalks curving along the sides of the reverse. These stalks represent prosperity and growth, and between them are the inscriptions, 1 cent, and United States of America, with the Latin motto, E pluribus unum, sitting just above. Now let's talk about the year, 1957. By this time, the Lincoln wheat penny was nearing the end of its run. Just 2 years later, in 1959, the design would be changed to feature the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, marking the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. That makes the 1957 wheat penny one of the last of its kind, part of the final chapter of a 50-year design that collectors now cherish. The 1957 penny came in two main varieties, one minted in Philadelphia, which carries no mint mark, and one minted in Denver, which is marked with a small d under the date. For today's video, we're focusing specifically on the one with the mint mark, the 1957 D wheat penny. Millions of these were produced, which might make you think they're all common. And in a sense, that's true. If you're holding a heavily circulated 1957 D wheat penny, it might be worth a few cents to a few dollars depending on its condition. But here's the twist: condition and rarity can change everything. A 1957 D penny that's been preserved in uncirculated or near mint condition, showing no signs of wear, maintaining its original luster, and possessing crisp detail, can command significant value in the collector's market. And when you start looking at coins graded by professional services like PCGS or NGC at levels like MS65, MS66, or higher, you're entering the realm of serious value. But it's not just about condition. Errors also play a huge role. The 1957 D penny is known to have some highly collectible errors, like doubled dies, repunched mint marks, RPMs, and even off-center strikes. These varieties add an element of uniqueness and rarity that collectors crave. A doubled die might make parts of the lettering appear ghosted or doubled, while an RPM shows signs that the mint mark was stamped more than once, slightly misaligned. These subtle differences are often overlooked by casual collectors, but experts know they can send a coin's value skyrocketing. Another factor is the color of the coin. Uncirculated Lincoln wheat pennies are graded not only on strike quality but also by color: brown, BN, red-brown, RB, and full red, RD. A full red penny, especially one with a strong strike and minimal blemishes, is the holy grail for many collectors. Those are the coins that sell for high premiums at auctions and in private sales. Let's not forget historical significance. The 1950s were a transformative era in American life. Post-war optimism, booming industry, and a rapidly changing society were reflected in every aspect of life, including coinage. Holding a 1957 D penny is like holding a snapshot of American history in your hand. It's a connection to the past, preserved in copper. So how much is this little piece of history worth today? Well, that depends on what you have. If it's a well-worn penny from circulation, maybe a few cents. A nicer condition coin? possibly a few dollars. But if you've got a 1957 D wheat penny in pristine, uncirculated condition, especially one graded MS-67 or above, or with a rare mint error, you're looking at a whole different ballgame. And now, the moment you've been waiting for. There have been sales and evaluations that put the value of a particularly rare and flawless 1957 D Lincoln wheat penny at $92,500. Yes, you heard that right. $92,500 for a single 1-cent coin. That's the power of numismatics. That's the power of rarity, condition, and a little historical magic all wrapped into one small, copper coin. So the next time you come across an old penny, especially one with a wheat back and a 1957 date, take a closer look. You could be holding something far more valuable than you ever imagined. Today, we're going way back, into the heart of the Great Depression era, to talk about a coin that may be sitting unnoticed in someone's drawer right now. That's right, we're spotlighting the United States of America 1-cent Lincoln wheat penny from 1939, complete with its mint mark. What seems like an ordinary penny could, in fact, be a rare gem that's worth far more than a cent. Stick with me, because by the end of this video, you might just be checking your own coin stash a little more closely. Let's kick things off with some context. The year 1939 was a turning point for America and the world. The nation was still recovering from the economic devastation of the Great Depression, and tensions were rising globally as World War II loomed. During this time, coins were a daily necessity, passed hand to hand through bustling cities, rural towns, and working-class communities. Every cent mattered. And the 1939 Lincoln wheat penny was more than just currency. It was part of the everyday American story. The Lincoln cent had already become iconic by this point. Introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of President Abraham Lincoln's birth, it was the first U.S. coin to feature a real historical figure. Its designer, Victor David Brenner, created a bold and human portrait of Lincoln for the obverse, the front of the coin. That design remains, with only slight modifications, to this very day. Now, flip the coin over and you'll see the reverse design that collectors love, the wheat ears design. Two elegant stalks of wheat flank the words, 1 cent and United States of America, with the Latin phrase, e pluribus unum, above. This design, used from 1909 to 1958, became affectionately known as the wheat penny. In 1939, Lincoln wheat pennies were minted at 3 different locations: Philadelphia, no mint mark; Denver, D mint mark; and San Francisco, S mint mark. The Philadelphia Mint produced the highest number that year, while Denver and San Francisco produced fewer. So, coins with a D or S mint mark from 1939 are generally harder to find, especially in top condition, which makes them much more desirable to collectors. But here's where things get exciting. While millions of 1939 wheat pennies were struck, very few have survived in pristine, untouched condition. Most of them were used and worn in everyday commerce, buying loaves of bread, newspapers, train rides, and more. So, when a collector today finds a 1939 wheat penny in uncirculated, brilliant condition, it's like discovering a time capsule. Even fewer exist in mint state grades, which means they still carry their original shine, detail, and luster, looking almost exactly as they did the day they left the mint over 80 years ago. What makes these pennies even more valuable are errors and varieties. For example, some 1939 Lincoln wheat pennies have what collectors call a double die error, where certain letters or numbers appear to have been stamped twice, giving a ghost-like doubling effect. Others may have die cracks, repunched mint marks, or be slightly off-center. These are all quirks that happen during the minting process and make the coin truly one of a kind. A small variation like this can dramatically increase a coin's value, especially when it's verified by a professional grading service. And speaking of grading, if you think you found a 1939 wheat penny that looks exceptionally sharp, don't hesitate to get it authenticated and graded. Grading companies like PCGS and NGC can give you an official grade that verifies its condition, which adds credibility and boosts the value in the eyes of collectors and buyers. Now let's talk about color. Lincoln wheat pennies are copper-based, so over time, their color can change depending on how they're stored. Brown, red-brown, and full red are the common color grades, with full red being the most desirable. A 1939 penny in full red condition, especially with a rare mint mark and error, is something that collectors will pay top dollar for, but here's the thing, many people have no idea they're holding onto something valuable. Because of its age, the 1939 wheat penny often shows up in inherited collections, estate sales, or even tucked away in family coin jars. It's entirely possible that someone out there has a coin worth a small fortune without ever realizing it. So how much are we talking? Let's imagine you come across a 1939 wheat penny. It's in superb condition, mint state, full red color, sharp details, possibly with a rare mint mark or an error. After authentication and grading, you find out that you've got something truly special on your hands, and now, the number you've been waiting for. There are rare examples of the 1939 Lincoln wheat penny that have sold or been valued at $106,500, yes, $106,500 for a single copper penny minted in 1939. That's not just the power of age, it's the power of rarity, condition, and historical significance all coming together in one beautiful little coin. So the next time you go through your change, your grandparents' coin collection, or those old mason jars of pennies gathering dust, take your time. Look closely. Because you might be holding a treasure worth more than you ever imagined. Today's episode is all about one of the most iconic and underestimated coins in American history, the United States of America 1-cent Lincoln wheat penny from 1940, complete with a mint mark. At first glance, it might look like just another old copper coin, something you'd brush past in a dusty coin jar or forget about in an old wallet. But by the end of this video, you'll see exactly why this coin is far from ordinary. From its historical roots to rare minting quirks, and of course, its potential value today, the 1940 Lincoln wheat penny is a hidden gem you'll want to learn all about. So stay tuned, because this small coin could be worth more than you ever imagined. Let's begin with the bigger picture. The year was 1940. America was standing on the edge of monumental change. World War II had already erupted in Europe, and although the US wasn't directly involved just yet, the nation was feeling the pressure. Industries were gearing up, and the economy was slowly recovering from the Great Depression. Coins minted in this era weren't just used to buy groceries or newspapers, they were part of a society on the brink of transformation. The 1940 Lincoln wheat penny carries with it the spirit of that moment in time. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the Lincoln cent was first introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. It was groundbreaking. It was the first U.S. coin to feature a real person. On the obverse side, you'll see the classic image of Lincoln's profile, facing right, with the words, "In God We Trust," above his head, "Liberty," on the left, and the year, 1940, on the right, often accompanied by a mint mark just below. Now flip the coin over, and you're greeted by the famous wheat reverse design. Two stylized stalks of wheat wrap around the words, 1 cent and United States of America, with E pluribus unum above. It's a design that represents simplicity, strength, and the hard-working values of America. Now, let's talk mint marks. In 1940, the Lincoln wheat penny was produced at 3 different U.S. mint facilities: Philadelphia, no mint mark; Denver, marked with a D; and San Francisco, marked with an S. While the Philadelphia mint struck the most coins by far, the Denver and San Francisco mints produced fewer, and those coins, especially in high grades, are much more scarce today. That scarcity, combined with the passage of time, makes certain 1940 wheat pennies, especially with the D or S mint marks, much more desirable to collectors. But it's not just about where the coin was made, it's about how well it has survived. You see, most of these pennies were used in everyday commerce. They went through cash registers, pockets, piggy banks, and lunch counters. They were worn down, nicked, tarnished, and often forgotten. But a 1940 wheat penny that somehow avoided all that wear and tear? One that still has its original red copper shine, sharp strike, and minimal contact marks? That's a whole different story. These high-grade, uncirculated coins, known as mint state or MS coins, are what collectors dream about. Graded on a scale from MS-60 to MS-70, even a small difference in grade can mean a significant difference in value. A 1940D or 1940S wheat penny in mint state 65 or higher is not just collectible, it's an investment, and then we enter the exciting world of error coins. Some 1940 Lincoln wheat pennies exhibit fascinating minting mistakes, double dies, off-center strikes, repunched mint marks, clipped planchets, and more. These are the kinds of quirks that happen during the minting process, but instead of being discarded, some of these coins made it into circulation. Now, decades later, collectors hunt for them like buried treasure. Let's not forget about the color grading system. Since wheat pennies are mostly made of copper, their appearance can vary greatly over time. Collectors classify them into three color designations: brown, BN, coins that have fully toned red-brown, RB, partially toned coins with some original luster, full red, RD, coins that have kept their brilliant red copper shine. A full red 1940 wheat penny, particularly one with a rare mint mark and no signs of circulation, is exceptionally rare and incredibly valuable. These are the coins that fetch top dollar at auctions and become the crown jewels of personal collections. So where might you find a 1940 Lincoln wheat penny today? Sometimes they turn up in old collections passed down through families. Other times, they're hiding in plain sight, in penny jars, antique stores, flea markets, and estate sales. And every now and then, a collector stumbles upon one that's been hiding in excellent condition all these years. That's the thrill of coin hunting, because even a 1-cent coin can hold a six-figure surprise, which brings us to the moment you've been waiting for. After all the talk about history, design, condition, and rarity, you might be wondering just how much one of these coins can be worth. Well, it turns out that a 1940 Lincoln wheat penny with a mint mark, in pristine mint state condition, and perhaps even showing a rare error or perfect strike, has been valued as high as $89,200. Yes, you heard that correctly. $89,200 for a single 1-cent coin minted in 1940. That's the magic of numismatics. That's the power of history preserved in metal, of rarity, condition, and human curiosity all rolled into one tiny coin. So before you pass over that old penny next time, pause. Look closely. You never know what you might be holding. Today's journey takes us back to the post-war era of America, a time of rebuilding, growth, and quiet resilience, as we shine a spotlight on one of the most fascinating coins from that time, the 1948 Lincoln wheat penny with a mint mark. Now, you might be thinking, a penny? Really? But stick around, because this is no ordinary penny. This little copper coin might have passed through millions of hands in the past, but in rare cases, it can be worth thousands and thousands of dollars today. By the end of this video, you'll know why collectors and historians are still obsessed with this 1948 Lincoln wheat penny, and what to look for if you happen to come across one in your collection, an old drawer, or even in a forgotten coin jar. Let's start with the setting. The year is 1948. America was emerging from the shadow of World War II. Soldiers were returning home, families were rebuilding, and industries were shifting from wartime production to peacetime innovation. The country was booming with optimism, and coins like the Lincoln wheat penny were in every pocket, purse, and cash register from coast to coast. The Lincoln cent, as many of you already know, made its debut in 1909 to honor the 100th birthday of President Abraham Lincoln. Designed by Victor David Brenner, it was a revolutionary design at the time, being the first U.S. coin to feature a real person. The obverse shows a right-facing profile of Lincoln, the word "Liberty" on the left, the mint year on the right, and "In God We Trust" across the top, but it's the reverse side that gives this coin its nickname, the wheat penny. Two stylized stalks of wheat arc around the words 1 cent and United States of America, with De Pluribus Unum above. This design was used from 1909 to 1958, and over the years, it became one of the most recognized and cherished coin designs in U.S. history. Now, let's narrow in on the 1948 wheat penny and its mint marks. In that year, pennies were minted at 3 major U.S. mint locations: Philadelphia, no mint mark; Denver, marked with a D, and San Francisco, marked with an S. Each mint produced millions of these coins, but not all of them were created equal. The Denver and San Francisco mint marks are key to identifying some of the rarer and more valuable variations. Why? Because minting quality, regional distribution, and survival rates all vary by location. And when you start factoring in condition, errors, and overall scarcity, suddenly, a tiny letter under the date becomes a gateway to serious value. So what makes the 1948 Lincoln wheat penny with a mint mark so collectible? The first factor is condition. Most 1948 pennies were heavily circulated, used in everyday transactions for decades. They've been dropped, rubbed, scratched, and worn down. But a 1948 wheat penny that was never used, or only lightly circulated, is a whole different story. These well-preserved coins are graded on a scale, with the most pristine examples earning mint state grades, MS 60 through MS 70. An MS 67 penny, for example, might look as if it just rolled off the minting press yesterday. It's these rare, high-grade examples that collectors chase, and pay top dollar for. Then comes color. Because these pennies were made mostly of copper, they tend to change color over time. They can be classified as brown, BN, red-brown, RB, or full red, RD. The full red coins are the brightest, most vibrant, and most valuable, especially when they also carry a rare mint mark and high grade, but there's more. Some 1948 pennies come with minting errors, and that's where things get really exciting. Errors like double dies, where the design appears twice in slightly different positions, off-center strikes, where the image is not properly aligned, and repunched mint marks, where the mint mark was stamped more than once, all make these coins highly unique. Collectors love these errors because they turn a common coin into a one-of-a-kind piece of American minting history. Let's pause for a second and talk about how many people overlook coins like this. How many times have you passed over a wheat penny thinking, it's just a penny? But what if that penny was hiding an error? What if it had a rare mint mark? What if it had never been touched for decades, its original shine still intact? The truth is, these coins are out there. They're hiding in collections, junk drawers, old piggy banks, and inherited estates, just waiting to be discovered. So, what's the takeaway here? If you come across a 1948 Lincoln wheat penny, check the mint mark. Look for the D for Denver or the S for San Francisco just under the date. Inspect the coin's color. Does it still shine red, or has it darkened with age? Examine the details. Are the lines sharp and the strike bold, or is it smooth and worn? And if you suspect an error, any doubling of letters, any odd placement of the design, get it professionally evaluated, because now comes the most jaw-dropping part of today's story. A 1948 Lincoln wheat penny with a mint mark, in exceptional uncirculated condition, graded at the top of the scale, with all the right features and possibly even an error, has been valued at a staggering $95,700. Yes, you heard that right. $95,700, for a 1-cent coin. That's not a typo, and it's not a legend. It's real. That's what makes coin collecting so fascinating. This small, copper artifact that most people overlook could be worth a fortune to the right person, at the right time, in the right condition. So the next time you see a wheat penny, especially one from 1948 with a mint mark, don't dismiss it. Give it the attention it deserves. Because you just might be holding a tiny piece of American history, worth tens of thousands of dollars. Today. Because what we're about to explore is more than just a coin, it's a time capsule, a piece of American resilience, and potentially, a life-changing discovery hiding in plain sight. Yes, we're talking about the United States 1-cent Lincoln wheat penny from 1949 with a mint mark, a small copper coin that may have quietly passed through countless hands over generations, yet holds secrets that can astonish